is going on? No horsing around family. Zach Boyd back at it again. And guys, we got a good one for you today on the live stream. We had to bring in the draft guru, Broshmo. I don't know if you got a chance to check him out over there on YouTube. I mean, my man is over there killing it, going hard all of the time, checking out all of the mock drafts. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're the Indianapolis Colts. We have the 4th pick in the draft, and just really interested to kind of get your perspective when it comes to this, and how you see the draft, especially how that front 4, front 5 is going to formulate when it all shapes out. We get through the combine and all that stuff. Man, I just want to take a quick second and thank you for hopping on. And how you been?
Busy.
I heard that, man. I heard that.
Yeah.
It is your time to go. It is draft season. So I just thought it'd be a little bit interesting to kind of go through this. And let's just start at quarterback, right? Everybody, Colts Nation, that's what we're concentrating on. We're dialed in. Didn't know if you had a short list, maybe a top 5, just how you see the draft kind of formulating. Do you have 5 quarterbacks that you think, hey, these guys are a step ahead of everybody else, and most likely they are going to be the 5 that everybody's going to debate over and over and over again as far as who's going to actually get drafted in this first round in the 2023 NFL draft?
Well, I don't think there's 5. For this first round, we're probably looking at 4. And we're probably looking at a top 3. So you got Bryce Young. He's absolutely my favorite. I don't think there's a better passer of the football.
Same.
He shows just great poise. He shows great, I guess, process, like just looking over the whole field, doing that quickly, efficiently. He's able to extend plays. Love Bryce Young. Then the next, like, Will Levis is like my number 3, because for him, the biggest hurdle is like, will it click between the ears for him? Because you see a lot of like turnover worthy plays, a lot of like forced balls into windows that probably shouldn't even, they're almost shut, that shouldn't be challenged there. Granted, this year the talent was a little bit different around him, but he's got those high-end tools. He's got an arm with big zip. He's got a cannon, can shoot it downfield. He's got a great build, one that can absorb contact. He's got good mobility. He's worked out of a NFL-style offense the last 2 seasons. He's already seen a lot of these NFL concepts. So I think that's another guy that's probably going to be talked about going first, depending on how you view him. Do you view him tools, or do you view him as, I'm a little wary. He could be a bit of a bust type of guy. Then CJ Stroud, big floor guy. I think a lot of people, he gets a lot of hate because, the Ohio State. Oh, what good quarterbacks ever come out of Ohio State? I don't know. I don't helmet scout. I just evaluate what's in front of me. But he's capable of throwing dots. I think he's got an NFL arm. He's got the build. So those are the 3 guys I think get talked about top 10. And then we're going to constantly hear Anthony Richardson like coming in here just because the tools are immense. It's just the learning curve for that guy is it's going to be huge. But outside of that, I don't think there's really another quarterback inside the discussion. Tanner McKee maybe on day 2. He just doesn't have the mobility the NFL seems to be moving towards. He's more of this pocket passer type. And I think those 5 are probably the only guys we see go on day 1 and day 2.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And when you talk about those top 3, I probably want to concentrate on Levis, Stroud, and Bryce Young, because most likely those are going to be who we would be selecting right there in that top 5. If you ask me, I go Bryce Young, number 1, clearly. I've said this on the podcast several times. He's the one guy that we don't debate his ability on the football field, right? The only thing we really debate is his stature and his size. Now, I know there's going to be teams that are going to pass on that. I mean, they just are when it comes down to it. But for me, give me Bryce Young. I think he's clearly, when it gets chaotic in that pocket for Bryce Young, he looks special, man. I mean, he just does things that nobody else is capable of doing. Probably going to measure at about 5'9", 5'9.5", and I don't know if that's going to kind of fit under Chris Ballard's criteria of what you want out of a quarterback, when it comes down to it. And kind of to piggyback off of CJ Stroud, he throws with anticipation, and you got to be able to do that in the NFL. So I think those 2, and I'm just curious your thoughts, those 2 probably are a little bit ahead of Will Levis. What say you?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Again, I'm like all in on Bryce Young. I'm willing to bet that he is the exception to this rule when it comes to size. You talked about like Stroud throwing with anticipation, like Young throws with anticipation, and like the way he maneuvers the pocket without like he doesn't like lower his eyes. He's still looking downfield. He's still looking to make passes. Like I, I really do think he's like extraordinary. I think he is a special level of talent that we've become accustomed to when we talk about like a top 10 or a first overall quarterback in this class.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And guys, as we get going here, just 5 minutes on the live stream, if you haven't had a chance to join the No Horsing Around family or going over and check out my boy Broshmo on YouTube, hit that like, subscribe, share, let everybody know, man. We can all join and become one big family as well. We got family memberships going on for $1.99, $2.99, $4.99. So if you want to help us keep the lights on, you can do that too. Otherwise, we would much appreciate just a simple like and a comment here while we're on here. Throw out any questions that you have. Also, the No Horsing Around podcast is excited to be sponsored by the Wager Wire at wagerwire.com. You can bet live bets. You can get out there and be ahead of things. You can even get a bet and you can cash them in before the bell rings, which is really, really cool. They're going to have an app out in about a year, so you guys will be looking out for that. Also, go over to www.wagerwire.com, www.wagerwire.com. Be there or be square and be ready for the Super Bowl, man. That being said, let's start with pick one. Let's just start there and let's just kind of talk through that process. If you're the Bears, obviously you can stay there and you can pick. If you're the Bears and you're the general manager, are you picking at one? Are you looking for the best trade partner that you can possibly find? Because that's what I'm doing. You know, selfishly, I'm a Colts fan. I want to do that anyways, and I think we have a pretty good case as the Colts at number 4. But that being said, you got to think Chicago's going to be letting that phone ring pretty heavy, huh?
Yeah, I think it'd be wise too. I mean, you're not looking at a quarterback if you're Chicago. So I would only be listening to 2 teams, Texans and the Colts. I don't want to move back any further than that because you don't want to jeopardize. Like, honestly, I could imagine Matt Eberflus over there is just foaming at the mouth over Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Just the opportunity to get that. And, you know, even a concession of Will Anderson is fine. They're like kind of 1A, 1B when it comes to top non-quarterback prospects. Then there's a fall off there. They're like those are your blue chippers. So I'd only be listening to offers from Houston and the Colts. 4 is probably the furthest I'd want to move down.
Yeah, absolutely. Drake, big shout out to you. We all know we've had Drake on the pod before. Over there at Horseshoe Huddle. He is a big Anthony Richardson guy. Wants to get your perspective on Anthony Richardson. I know there's been a lot of Cam Newton comparisons to him. Guy has a huge arm. He's built like a tank, but a little rich for my blood at 4. Where do you think he falls in this draft? You think is it going to be that first team that misses out on one of those top 3? Are they going to just kind of go early for him? Or do you think the draft's just going to kind of settle and he's going to maybe fall in to that middle, that 12 to 20 range?
Yeah, I think the furthest he probably falls is 20 because the teams are going to want that 5th-year option with the guy you're going to have to develop. And earliest, yeah, it's that pick 8. You know, if or is it 8 or 9? Wherever the Panthers pick 9. It's probably there where it's like if the Panthers like, oh crap, well we missed out on the whole quarterback market because you know we didn't want to move up. Don't necessarily know if that's a Frank Reich guy though. You know,
yeah,
just doesn't seem like it. So maybe not, but yeah, no, he's real interested. He is a guy with a learning curve. He's coming from college style offense under Billy Napier, there the former Louisiana Raging Cajun head coach. So
shout out to Billy Napier right here.
Yeah, but like Richardson literally has just like screw you type of like arm strength. Like, oh my gosh, like
flick of the wrist.
On it. Yeah. He's not exactly Cam Newton, but like he's kind of this nice little mixture of Cam Newton and Lamar, like not as obviously as quick or explosive as Lamar, but also not exactly as durable. Not even durable, but like I would say like built as Cam was, because Cam was a bit of a tank. I think Anthony Richardson's a bit more leaner. So he's that nice little like in between
Yeah,
those two.
yeah. I mean, there's gonna be some teams that fall in love with them, and there's probably gonna be some teams that say, no way, we're not taking a chance on this. We talk about trading with either Houston or the Colts 2 or 4. Compensation wise, I mean, what's it going to take to get up there at number one? I mean, if you're Houston, you're in a terrible position because the team at one's not going to select a quarterback, right? So now what are you willing to give up knowing that there's a team that can come behind you that's the Colts and they can kind of jump you for the quarterback that you may want anyways in this draft? Is it to you? Is it worth it for Houston to make a big move, or do they just have to stay at 2 and say, you know what? If you want a little insurance, we'll flip you picks and we'll give you a 3rd or 4th rounder. Otherwise, we're going to sit here at 2, and we're either going to take a Bryce Young or a C.J. Stroud, and we'll just roll that way.
Yeah, I think if you're the Bears, man, this is a great feeling. You get to leverage the pick between division rivals. So it's like you could just sit there and just try to milk as much compensation out as you want, really as much compensation as you want. Because if you're the Texans, like you're fearful that you're gonna have to overpay and you're gonna have to match what the Colts deliver. But then at the same time, it's like maybe you can sit there at 2 and still get who your guy is.
Yeah,
It really kind of depends because like Will Levis is literally the freaking cog in this, right? Like
yeah,
depending on how, because he just seems like someone Ursay and Ballard would absolutely love. So if you're sitting there, Texans like, you know what? If we like Bryce Young, we could probably still risk just sitting here and letting the Colts take it, and they end up not taking our guy. So it's like it's gonna be interesting, especially with compensation wise. I'm gonna be very, very intrigued.
yeah. I definitely got a couple questions for you. Jeff Black wants to know, Hooker, what round will he be drafted in?
I think 4th or 5th. I think he's gonna firmly be the day 3, early day 3,
Okay.
because of the injury. He's an older guy, so his physical tools are probably tapped out of what they're gonna be like his arm, like his cannon. It is what it is. His zip. It is what it is. Those things aren't gonna get better. He's got plus mobility, but like coming off the injury, older prospect, coming from a very like quarterback friendly system there. In Tennessee. So like I wasn't particularly high. I think the highest I got on him was around like top 50, and then the injury occurred, and it really feels like he'll probably be in those probably off the even if he I feel like there's still a chance at like late day 2, but I feel like 4th, 5th round's probably better right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even a 3rd rounder, that might be a little rich. I mean, considering everything that he's went through with this injury, when it comes down to it, kind of sucks, man. That injury was probably, a multi-million-dollar injury. He might have been able to creep into that top 5, that top 6, when it comes down to it. As far as that go, Unboxing Mania has a question for you. What is the best trait for C.J. Stroud?
I really do like his anticipation.
Yeah.
Because something he did much better this year was he's very good at leading and anticipating where his receivers are gonna be or where they should be. He's good at throwing his wide receivers open. Like you saw that a ton. I would say against Michigan, where people say that's his worst game. You saw a ton of that with Cade Stover, just being a tight end with not necessarily the best ball skills. He didn't make the best, or the best just didn't happen from what it could have been. But I like that anticipation. I like that ability to lead. He got like he's used to be a big at just overthrowing guys, and I think he's reining a lot of that in. And this dude was just throwing dots this season.
How about that game against Georgia, man? I mean, what did he do for himself in that game?
I love it. You know what it is? Shut a lot of people up. Oh, he can't handle being under pressure. Oh, he's so good out. He's not, or he's bad outside of structure. It's like he's capable of that. He's a guy that has really good mobility. It's just he wants to pass the football.
Yeah,
that's him. He just wants to throw the ball.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. ATV says this quarterback class is very decent, especially Stroud, but I'm very afraid that Ballard will pass on the future guy. And I remember you saying you didn't really want Ballard to make that decision, Zach. I'll be honest with you. It scares me, man. I mean, it scares me with Chris Ballard. You mentioned earlier Will Levis. I mean, that's going to be the guy that I'm mostly scared about, because I would rather Stroud or Young. I just think they're a step above Will Levis when it comes down to it. I know everybody's going to fall in love with the toolsy guy. He's going to do great in interviews. He's going to do great at the combine. He could throw the ball a freaking mile. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But that being said, I just like the polish. Give me the two guys who were great in high school, great in college, probably going to be pretty damn good in the NFL when it comes right down to it. That's the way I'll go. If we're not talking quarterback, because I guess we should just do it for argument's sake, is it pretty evident Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, 1A, 1B, going to be the first two defensive players taken off this draft board?
Yeah, they're both going to test out great. Their production's great. It's really just whoever you fancy most. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right when it comes down to that. Drake has said which head coach candidate is going to be the best fit for Young and Stroud. I'll probably take this one. I think Young would work really well with Steichen. And I think that Stroud is probably a little bit better in maybe a Callahan, a Brian Callahan role, where you have functional legs. I know Dane Brugler is big on calling it functional, being able to move. Just eluding that pocket, buying yourself enough time to be able to complete passes. Definitely something that we'll be looking out for, and we'll probably be able to critique more. Question for you. I know you do a lot of coverage with Daniel Jeremiah. You mock the mocks, which is really, really cool. And it's kind of a nice take on things on your show. Do you have anybody, when you're doing a mock that you're most excited about it? So are you a PFF guy? Are you a Dane Brugler guy? Are you a Daniel Jeremiah guy? Or is there anybody that kind of stands out and you think, man, I just love the way he evaluates the game of football, and you kind of try to model yourself after that as you're going down this path?
I am a huge fan of the PFF guys. I love Mike Renner. Been watching him for years now. I loved when he had Austin Gale on. Now it's Trevor Sikkema, who him and Connor Rogers have a great show. The NFL Stock Exchange. That's
great.
Yeah, just phenomenal. Nate Tice from The Athletic is really good, man.
Yeah,
I think he might be the most entertaining persona when talking about the draft. I know he kind of does football in general, but oh man, I love him around draft time. He is a great listen.
Man, there's no doubt. I mean, those guys are all super, super smart when it comes down to it. Now, if we're not going to talk quarterback, we're not going to talk defense. Are there any guys that you expect, hey, here's a couple guys that are going to be just some quick risers, names that we should be looking out for as this process goes down? Because we're getting ready to get into the Senior Bowl. We're getting ready to get into the Combine. All of those things are going to happen as the months go on. Is there a couple guys you're thinking, all right, man, I'm going to start paying a little more attention to this guy or that guy and see what he does, as far as how the board shift? I know there's a defensive end out there for Iowa right now that's kind of starting to move up a little bit. I see a little bit of George Karlaftis in him, Van Ness, right? Yeah.
That was actually the first guy that came to mind when you were asking the question.
Yeah. So just what are your thoughts on him?
He's a grizzly bear. Obviously we won't get to see him till the Combine. And a lot is going to depend on his measurables and how he tests out. He's expected probably to test out and measure better than George Karlaftis. He's a bit unpolished, but he's a guy that loves to impose his will on the blocker. He's got a versatile body type, a guy that can probably kick inside on passing downs, very strong hands. But yeah, a lot of his projection will come around the Combine. But yeah, he's already Dane Brugler had him high early. So yeah, I think we better get ready for him to be a top 20 guy. A lot of people like to say he'll be a reach. I don't think so. Like this was a cat that he didn't start one game there at Iowa. You know,
Yeah,
he
I mean,
he yeah, he was a rotation guy, but ended up out snapping the guys who were the starters there.
yeah, I mean, when you turn on the film, and I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of them, but my first thought when I saw him, heavy hands, man. I thought, my God, when he hits you, he shocks that guy that's in front of him. You've got to, and that's part of the NFL and the transition as you go from college to the NFL. I mean, when a guy puts his hands on you like that, how do you respond? The great left tackles, the great right tackles always can recover and anchor down. The ones that can't, they don't respond is the answer. They allow a sack when it comes right down to it. So definitely somebody to be looking out for. Got a couple questions. Nero De Niro, all-time great name, by the way. I've said it a million times on here. Nero, we appreciate you hopping out here. Interior offensive lineman. You got anybody that we should be kind of checking out and looking out after that?
Yeah, Osiris Torrance is kind of the big name. I think he's kind of like in a tier by himself. Just huge human being, huge, uh, super powerful, likes to work inside a box. And I mean, shoot, they were at the Senior Bowl today. They were working him out at tackle. I didn't expect that. I thought he was a kind of a guard only guy.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to go back and actually look at some. I've only saw a few of the reps where he was playing tackle, but it looked fairly solid. After that, I think we got I'm a big fan of Andrew Voorhees. I think technically he's probably the most ready for the NFL. Him and John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota, a guy that could probably play guard center. You got Voorhees could probably play tackle guard. Cody Mock is kind of the name starting to emerge here because he played there at North Dakota State at tackle, and they're working him out at guard and center at the Senior Bowl, which he's probably going to profile as a guard or center in the NFL. Came in with sub 33-inch arms, but very good mover. Whether you want to have him whether it's laterally and the kind of a wide zone blocking, or if you're going to have him climb up in more of a gap or an inside zone scheme. He's a very good climber to the second level. So those are probably the three guys after Torrance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really good point. My man Drake wants to know Keely Ringo to the Colts. We got to have a quarterback. My man Drake, pump the brakes a little bit, but I love him. By the way, he was on our live stream last week. Unfortunately, he may go round one. Dude is a dog. DAWG Drake, no doubt about that. When we talk about cornerbacks, you got Ringo, you got Witherspoon, and you got Gonzalez probably, and then I guess you throw in Joey Porter Jr. as well. That's a pretty good top four. Is that your top four?
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, that's probably going to be my top four, at least for now. I mean, during the process, we might have some movers like Deontay Banks out of Maryland's getting a lot of hype, but he just has a bad tendency, or at least when I saw it, he gives up on plays. If he thinks the play's not coming his way, or if he's out of the play, and it's just I don't know. I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to effort, but he's a popular name right now because he's just a really good athlete. Tyreek Stevenson, but I don't think really there's another guy that really can touch what you have in Ringo, who's built like a tank, built like a safety, and he's gonna test out extremely fast. He's gonna be like a 4.3 guy. He's gonna be kind of like this year's Tyreek Woolen type. Yeah. So he's gonna be a guy you probably want in maybe a cover 3 or some sort of press scheme.
Yeah, Witherspoon too, man. I mean, you got. Hey, I think you talked about PFF earlier. I was listening to a pod last week. In the slot man coverage, my man allowed 1 yard this year. 1 yard. Let that sink in. I don't care if you're playing Pop Warner, if you're playing high school, college, it doesn't matter. 1 freaking yard. I mean, that's pretty special. And he's gonna be the one, I think, probably that's going to rise. It already has rise. I don't think there's any secret with him at this point. But, I mean, I think he's kind of shot up him and Joey Porter kind of went different directions. I think there was a moment, where Joey Porter was 1 or 2. I think he's went more back to that 4 spot, and he's now up in that. I know Daniel Jeremiah had him as his 5th or 6th best player in his top 50 that just came out. That's high praise coming from Daniel Jeremiah.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely the most productive corner this year. I think he led college football in pass breakups. It's totally warranted with him, man. He had an outstanding year. He's got good size, good length. He's probably could put a little more meat on, but the way he plays, his physicality, he loves playing around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple highlights out there of him just blowing up screen plays in the back. I think the most notable one is against Indiana on Shivers, the running back, just annihilating him. It was reminiscent of the Reggie Bush hit. I'm trying to think who, I can't remember who exactly lit him up, but man, it was nasty.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely special. Terry Rozier, aka Hawks Daddy, wants to know if Keon White will rise into the top 10. What say you?
I don't think so.
Where you got him, man? Where you got him? You got him top 25, first rounder?
Like fringe top 50 for me.
Okay.
He's an older prospect. He's kind of late to the edge position, former tight end when he was playing over at ODU. Moved to edge in his final year, I believe, at ODU. Then he went to Georgia Tech, and like injuries, he had the COVID year. Didn't really emerge till this season. And he plays with power. There's a lot on unpolishedness with him. I mean, granted, you're raw. I get it. You're new to the position, but yeah, plays with a lot of power. He's a lot quicker than you expect for a 280 pounder. Like, he will chase guys down, but I probably like him better in that day 2 area.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty cool. Unboxing Mania wants to know any good receivers projected in the 2nd round. He kind of highlights any Deebo Samuels. I don't know if you're going to find Deebo Samuels in any draft, but 2nd round, Smith and Jigba, does he make it to the top of that 2nd round, or is somebody going to snag him right around 2025?
I feel like someone will snag him. Like, so many people profile him different. Like, I feel like he's probably a slot only, or a guy that's going to play like 65% of the time in the slot. I don't think he's as good as an athlete as maybe some people think, or at least I don't think it's what it takes to be like a wide receiver one, consistently play on the outside. But like, he's great in the slot. Like, he's a guy that's capable of finding the soft spots in coverage and just taking the ball to the house. Like, the dude can create after the catch. You love the yak potential of him. But I think there's that slot position is getting a lot more popular in today's NFL. So you're going to see those teams that come from like the McVay or the Shanahan coaching tree. They're like, we can find a role for this guy, like a prominent role for this guy.
Yeah, the dude's if he stays healthy, the dude's gonna catch 1,000,000 balls by the time he's done playing in the NFL. I mean, that's. I know a comp has come out for him for St. Brown. I mean, he plays a lot.
I love him.
I mean,
so much.
I'll take that, man. I'll take that every single time. If you go ahead, if he turns out to be 80-85% of that, I mean, you're in pretty good standing when it comes down to it. Terry Rozier let me know he's number 8 in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. So pretty high praise when it comes down to that. As far as
top 50, I'll just say that.
Yeah. He's definitely gonna make that. When we talk about the tackle positions, maybe something that we would explore. Obviously, we're gonna probably take a quarterback in this draft, but Paris Johnson Jr., he's pretty special. Who do you think is going to be the first left tackle though taken off the board?
I think you said it right there, Paris Johnson Jr.
Okay.
Special, like, he's a special human being. First of all, the amount of like community service this guy does, like I think he has his own like scholarship out there. He's just a great human being. Really, really nice guy. But he's got ideal length. He's got an ideal build. you love the movement skills. He was playing guard last season. You could kind of tell, it was like, yeah, this guy's probably more of a natural tackle, and I think that showed. He played well this year against very good competition. Isaiah Foskey, he essentially won that battle against Michigan. Mike Morris was only able to really get pressure by Michigan having to get very clever with him and move him in a variety of different spots. So, like, yeah, I think Paris Johnson just like Pierce Kronsky is up there. He's probably the most NFL ready, but just lacks the high end athleticism, the high end or the ideal length compared to a guy like Johnson. You'll probably feel more safe with if you're really looking for a tackle, not just maybe an offensive lineman, a guy that can fit anywhere.
Yeah, Skron's got those short arms. You're probably gonna
Little
see
dinosaur
that
arms, man.
when they measure him out. That's probably going to be the only knock on him when it comes right down to it. But probably if you draft either one of those guys, you're probably coming away with a pretty good left tackle here in the NFL.
Right.
Hearing a lot about the edge rush class this year. Some people are super high on it. Some people are not so. Some kind of meh on on the edge rushing class. Where are you at with that as far as that goes?
I think it's a fabulous edge rushing class. It's amazing. Like, you have your Will Anderson, then you kind of drop a tier. You look at guys like Miles Murphy, Tyree Wilson, Lucas Van Ness. Drop another tier, you get guys like Nolan Smith, who unfortunately probably won't work out because of the torn pectoral. But like he has the pass rush win rate. Yeah, he has the explosiveness, very good run blocker despite the size, or run defender despite the size. Like, it's extremely deep. Like, probably like 15 to 20 guys are capable of going in the first like three rounds.
Yeah, you can find a guy in the third round this year that's probably going to play at a high level, and somebody's probably going to hit on him, huh?
Almost. I mean, it is pretty nutty, and I mean, it even expands to like day 3. There's very good options out there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to pop this question up here. Christian Gonzalez, Chris Gons. What's happening, guys? Hope you guys are having a great night. He's a Cowboys fan. Well, sorry about that loss, my friend. Cowboys should pick a running back in the first round with Zeke's decline and Tony Pollard's injury history. I don't know if they're going to go that route, but I do like the question, and here's why. How high is Bijan Robinson going to go? Who's gonna be the team that pops and pulls the plug on him? Because I will say this: if we're evaluating running backs, and we always kind of devalue that position in the NFL as a whole, he is special. I mean, there's no question about it. He is special, and he is the best running back in this draft class, in my opinion, anyways.
The dude's great. He's the best running back prospect since Saquon. I will say Saquon was a better prospect, but like, dude's right up there. Bijan's amazing. I actually got the chance to watch him play in high school because it was not too far from where I live. It was literally a man among boys. Bijan's literally like a bull that knows how to ballroom dance. He loves tight quarters. He knows how to maneuver it. He's got nice explosiveness to him. Long speed's kind of all right. It's whatever, but don't really need that necessarily to consistently win in the NFL. He'll be cranking out 10-yard gains quite fine. Like, but man, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Where does he go? I've been playing with that like every mock draft I got.
Part of me thinks he could creep into that top 15, man. Like just a team that basically is sitting there and says, all right, listen, we missed out on who we thought we were going to get at the position of need. We're not getting any good trade back offers, and he is by far the best player left on our board. And if we're going to stick to our board, well, then we're going to draft the best player available, and he's probably going to end up being the best player available when you're right there at 15, 15 to 20 range. Or he'll do what a lot of guys do as far as running backs go, and a very good team who's picking 25 to 30, they'll swoop in and take them. So should be very, very interesting. As we close this out, question for you: is there just anybody in this draft that we haven't talked about on this podcast that you're thinking man, I really like this guy, or I need to know more about this guy. Anybody, that you're high on, that we haven't had a chance to cover before we get off here.
Yeah, this one's kind of like a late round sleeper. He's a cat that I just picked up last week from the NFLPA Bowl. Marte Mapu from Sacramento State.
Okay.
He's kind of this like linebacker slot or linebacker, but maybe like a dime linebacker, but this safety slot type of hybrid. He's a 6-year player, played extraordinarily well. Like this cat's got insane length. He ended up getting a call up to the Senior Bowl. Super excited to see more from him this week. But incredible length, good movement skills. A guy that can he can track down like running backs. He could run with tight ends and even slot receivers. Think probably the question will be like the play strength. But I mean, if you're working out of the slot, it's not too much of a concern anyway. But man, I really like this dude's movement skills. I like his nose for the football. He's shown ball skills. I was looking up interviews with him. He's a very vocal leader there at Sacramento State and a mentor there. So like he was a guy that I've kind of like just kind of been super intrigued with during this whole process.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, that'd be cool. We'll be looking out for him as we go down. Guys, before we hop off here, I just want to thank you. We did a kind of a quick pop-up live stream. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, do that right now. Like it, rate, review, share, subscribe, the whole nine. Over there, over here, up there, down there. Then, as soon as
flight attendant,
go straight over to Broshmo's page and join his family, man. Go over there and be a part of that. If you want to know about the draft, if you want to find out about all of these guys, some of these guys, that we haven't even had a chance to talk about on this show, go over and check him out, man. He does a great job. He's putting out content like a freaking maniac over there. I mean, that guy is just pumping it out. But anyways, check him out. And just want to take a quick second and thank you, my man, for coming on here tonight. And we'll have to do it again when it gets a little bit closer and we've had an opportunity to see some real, the combine. We got the metrics, when it's coming down to the actual draft. We'll get you on here and we'll talk about who's really going to be picked in that top 5 when it all comes down to it, man. But thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I love talking draft. It's
absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, we'll see you soon.